Hey guys. Oh, hey.
Thank God.
Woo!
It's another Super Go Sunday. Ali edition.
Well, today we're going to talk about what it feels like when your relationship is on autopilot. Mm-hmm. Not even just relationships, specifically the marriage. Because as you know, the marriage is supposed to be this long-term committed covenant.
Yes.
And sometimes it's hard to stay in the groove of marriage. You know, on day one, the engagement, you're all like, yes, I love him. He's so fine. She's so sexy. We're in love, and then on like day, 1,365, you're just like, I don't know about that. And so I think that it's important to speak to it because there is a difference between, loving someone and being in love with them. And Sharif and I were having a conversation this morning whereby I said, I think that you can definitely be, you can definitely love your spouse, but just not be really feeling that in love feeling. And Sharif said to me, that's not a marriage. He was just so pragmatic about it. Like, that's not a marriage. That's not how it goes. And I'm like, I don't know where you
right.
living.
No, well, not saying that that's not how it goes in terms of you can't love someone but not be in love with them. But I took the stance like, if you both are checked out, like to me, God ordained marriage, and if God ordained marriage, God makes everything perfect. And so people, although we're imperfect, we come into this relationship that's God ordained. And yes, we mess it up, but marriage wasn't like, just feel me for a minute. Marriage in the aspect of like man and woman coming together for a lifetime, like monogamy, that wasn't man-made. Like that's natural. I think that's God-made. So when we're not, I don't believe there's such thing as a bad marriage because God doesn't make anything bad. I just think that if you're in that thing and you're involved in it 100% and y'all sacrifice for one another, it's that love, it's respect. That's marriage, doing what God does for you. When you're not doing it,
which is sacrificing.
Right. And God is the ultimate one for sacrifice. Hence Jesus Christ dying on the cross. But I mean, that's me. So I think when it's everything opposite of that, and y'all checked out, if y'all checked out of the marriage, you're not married. Even if it's on a paper, like legally you're married, but it's not marriage to me.
And I disagree with that strongly because there was a period in our relationship where we weren't gelling. It didn't seem like we were synonymous. And so
you would still say that we were married. But I would still
say that we were married. I don't know that I want to say on camera I wasn't in love with you. But I definitely didn't want to do anything extra with you.
Right.
So we didn't do things outside of caring for our child and
daily
being in the house.
Routines, right.
Right. But everything we did was separate. I went about my life and he went about his life. And so, but I still loved you very, very deeply.
Right.
And I still respected our friendship.
Right.
And but I can understand how you wind up going through the motions.
Right.
And so for someone to say to me, well, you're not married. God doesn't make anything bad. At that point in that season, I would not categorize our marriage as a good marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I know that other people get stuck in that rut. And it's like, what do I do? And really, how do I differentiate between, is this a season or is this the state of our marriage?
Right. I want to get into that. But just so you can see, like, this is the beauty. I think this is the beauty of relationships. What keeps it spicy and intimate, for example, Felicia and I are on, in a sense, opposing sides. We both stand for the same thing. We just believe in it differently. And so it's that push and that pull. That's one of the ingredients that keeps you really involved in one another. When the marriage has tension, you need tension because without tension, it's boring. It's just a balance. And it's like this. There's no movement. I was speaking earlier when we had like our house church as I'm thinking about it. And I was talking about everything in life is about a rhythm. You have to have a rhythm. And when Felicia was talking about, you starting off day one in marriage and it just seems like, oh, it's so good. And then day 1,304, you're like, not so much. It's because somewhere in there you lost the rhythm. You know what I mean? So you have to keep that rhythm going. So going back to like the original point is that I just think that that the tension that we have, even though we're on sort of, it seems like, opposing sides, I want to make it clear for me where I think about how I think about marriage. I think of marriage as like a chemical bond, right?
Okay.
Like, let's say chocolate milk.
Okay.
You have chocolate and you have milk. Irena, you're so beautiful,
Right.
chocolate, and I'm not quite milk, but you get the point. Chocolate and milk are two separate things. And then when they come together, when you infuse them, they're chocolate milk. There is no way that you can come between that. That to me is marriage. When you guys are not operating as chocolate milk, but you're operating as chocolate and milk, it's no longer chocolate milk. Just like for me, it's no longer marriage. It's not a chemical infusion. You guys are literally like pouring, you're not chocolate milk, you're water and oil. You can pour water and oil in the same cup and all of a sudden that joint will separate. That's not marriage. That can be two people in the same cup, loving one another, trying to gel with one another, but there's still this separation. For me, the two become one. When the two become one, that's marriage.
And I mean, you have you are obstinate.
I am so obstinate in that. That's
in
true.
It's
That's
like
true.
this is your idea, and
But I do get where you coming
I
from.
do.
Though,
I
love. Like, for real.
really, it was just a lot of things happening in our lives, and it was taking us. It felt like in separate directions, and we were still considered newlyweds,
Right.
And it was too much to bear, and we hadn't completely infused yet. I definitely didn't understand how to communicate with you.
Right.
Some of the actions that you were tossing my way where I didn't expect that from my husband. We
Right.
all have an expectation of what husband means.
Yes.
We don't always accept the person as is.
Yeah.
So, if I had to think about a point to ponder from taken away from that season of our relationship, it would have been that, to live in the moment of who we are as a couple, as individuals.
Please keep that. Please keep that, because this is where we really want y'all to hone in, because I think where we're taking you now is, at least I think, you're starting to spit some real game on how we even got out of our rut.
Yeah.
So, like, staying in the moment.
Yeah.
Like,
It was just like, sometimes we hold a grudge in our relationships. We want to do that. I think this lasted from about 4 months for us. And it was just a lot of circumstances that clouded the intimacy. It was just a big cloud over our intimacy. And so one day I wanted to hug you. And I wanted to be held by you. And that, and I could have been,
I like that.
I could have been staunch in my position when, no, we haven't touched in 4 months. We haven't loved. You've been, mean to me or
like
whatever. I could have held on to that like so many of us do.
I like that.
But what I chose to do was soften myself. And I remember it. Like it happened this morning.
Yeah.
You went to wrap your arms around, like we were walking past each other, and he does this. He like grazed me. That's his way to like make up. And so, I would usually like move out of his way to create this clear boundary. I am not your friend. I do not want your hands on me. No. But this day I just kind of relaxed. And he felt my energy, and you held me, and I let you.
Yeah.
I softened. I remember my shoulders just kind of falling into your chest, and I felt whole again. So that's why it's so important to me that it be clear that just because you're in a season in your marriage where you may be operating on autopilot, you're taking care of the kids, you're going to work, you're handling bills, you're text messaging each other instead of calling, you're turning your back instead of cuddling, you're having serious conversations more than hearty laughter. I get that. You know what I mean? But you can always, if you want it to be turned around, it's so important to live in the moment and feel what you feel.
I feel that. I feel that, because had you not lived in that moment and kept in the pattern of our past, then you wouldn't, that moment would have never happened.
Absolutely.
And it's a little term that we have, like, moments are momentous. You know what I'm saying? Moments are momentous. Yeah. So stay in the moment. For me, to add point number 2 out of how
point to ponder
number 2, how we how you can get out of the rut of staying in this autopilot marriage. I think of marriage like a car, right? And you know how when you're driving the car, you can put it on autopilot, and you put it on there because for me, at least, I'm comfortable with the road. I've been on this road long enough or enough times that I think that I know all of the obstacles, the stop signs, the red lights, all of the speed traps, you know. So I put that joint on autopilot and I relax. Yeah. And Felice, she actually stops me from doing that because she brought to my recollection, like, things aren't always the same. And there could be a deer that runs across, or there can be a wheel that falls off of someone's truck and goes in front of you, and you're relaxing on autopilot that you can possibly cause a collision and crash. So for me, knowing the road and being so comfortable that I put myself or the vehicle on autopilot is like you thinking that you know your partner so well, you know. Once you think that you know a person so much, like, I know that she gets mad at that, but she'll be over it. Or, oh, you know, I know that he checks out from time to time, but he'll come back in. Like, thinking that you can predict the person that you're with so much that you can get just real relaxed and comfortable is dangerous for your marriage, because those deers, like the deer of life, can come out and cause you to crash.
Yeah, and I think that the final thing that I want to put into your spirits, if I may, is that going through the motions is a natural part of life. It's staying in the motions that is dangerous for a marriage. A marriage is two people coming together, not existing because you have children. God wants us to live a life of abundance. Abundance in joy, abundance in peace, abundance. Abundance. I know that what it's like as a responsible parent. Like I said, when we went through it, my kid was the number one thing in my mind. But I need to matter too. You need to, if you can, try to put yourself first enough to honestly give your marriage an honest try. If you don't have a major hurtful issue and you can overcome it, try to put the promise to yourself, really. Like, I want to live a life of abundance. That doesn't always mean getting away from your spouse. Your spouse may not be the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I may do a final point to ponder, it would be put yourself first enough to realize that you deserve an abundance of joy. Joy is not happiness. It's not every single minute of every single day. If you honestly feel like this is broken beyond repair. Yeah. You know, then you have to take that up with God and do what you will. You
may have to put that vehicle in park.
You may have to do that.
Get out.
But if it's seriously, you know, you're being selfish, and you have to be honest with yourself. Am I being selfish? Am I being the ruler of my relationship? Because that's not safe either. Yes. It's mutual respect. We mutually respect each other. He has his role in our marriage. I have my role. We try not to step on each other's toes. But when he want to wash them dishes, I'll be like, why you want to wash dishes? Because you don't wash dishes. Okay, then you have that conversation. But don't get so haughty that you think that I'm not the problem.
Boom.
You know, look at yourself honestly. And if you really, 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 really respect your spouse and respect the empire that you're building, give it an honest try. Honest try. Get that marriage off autopilot, because it's not good for the soul. It's not good for the spirit. It's not good for the children. It's not good for the community of friends and family that you've built. Get out.
Hey, as always, thanks for watching. And when something seems bad,
turn it around
and make something good.
Peace.